You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Big Brother After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Big Brother After Show.
There's that music.
Hey everyone, Bing is for doing and we're doing Big Brother. I'm Ashley Iocco and I'm very excited today because I have a former Big Brother 14 house guest, Jodi Rollins.
Hello, very former.
Oh my God, but you are legendary.
In a strange way, I guess so.
You really are. You're an iconic Big Brother player. Yes. You have had the most unjust Big Brother eviction in all of history.
I think so. Even if it weren't me, I think I would still think that.
Absolutely.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, I can't get over what happened. It just breaks my heart.
It was not fun. I got to tell you, when I got that boot, I really, really thought that I would have a chance of coming back. I thought there'd be a twist, you know, so I was shocked, but I was still planning and scheming in my head. So that was not the case.
Now, everyone wanted to know, were you in sequester?
Yes,
that
for a
whole
week
time?
after I was in sequester.
Okay.
So, and you know, they kind of were like, well, you might come back. So I spent that week going, all right, so they booted me out first. That means they think I'm not a threat. So I'm going to go back. I started plotting who I was going to go back with and whatever. And then they were like, here's your suitcase. There's your ride. You know, and I'm like, I'm going home.
That is so sad because I feel like you would have been a really good player.
Well, thanks. I would have tried. I mean, you know, I would have told a lie or two, but still been, I think, a decent person. I would not be as nasty as these people this season.
Yes. Now, that's the #1 question we always have to ask. What do you feel? Like, how do you feel about all the drama going on? There's so much controversy.
There is. And the thing is, like, as you probably agree, we love this game. We love it. We auditioned for it. We went out for it. Some of us were there longer than others. But I feel like they're besmirching Big Brother's good name. We've always had drama. We've always had, you know, people saying things and negativity. But this is like a new low.
It is. And it's like I always watched the show with my family, and I always loved the whole family aspect, and it's just like this fun. It's supposed to be a fun game, and they kind of just tore it apart.
Yes, especially, do you watch the feeds?
Yeah.
So
Are you?
know, yeah, nonstop practically. It's like my life, you know, as a feed watcher. Shout out to my feed people.
Feedsters.
Yes.
I'm new up to this year. New to the feeds.
Oh my gosh. But I love my chat room and the regulars. But when you're in there, you know, it's so different, the CBS show versus what you see on the live feeds. And it's so much nastier. I mean, I was glad that they showed the racism stuff. I wasn't sure if they were going to, and the homophobia and all the bigotry, but it hasn't gone away. And, you know, Gina Marie is right in there with it, saying just horrible things. And people, if you don't watch the feeds, think it's just Aaron.
And it's not. It's Amanda as well. And then, I mean, then we have Spencer now saying, like, absurd things.
Yeah,
it's like
and obscene things.
Exactly. You don't joke about child pornography.
No.
Nothing. You just don't. And I just feel like none of those people are going to get those type of edits. They're just not. Yeah. And I mean, fast forward a little bit. Even Jesse with the big fight that just happened last night, I was asking Twitter, was that just a small bit of what they showed?
Oh, you didn't see it?
Or was there more? No, and I was so disappointed.
It was epic. They could have dedicated maybe 20 minutes to it, and it was so exciting to watch. Yeah. Because that whole thing went down like they showed it on the CBS show. But Jessie literally was running around the house. She ran breathlessly up to the HOH room, kind of confronted Andy, then went back downstairs, then listened at the door. She listened at the door twice, got caught once, and then later on, I guess later that that night, and the next day she was following Alyssa. How does it feel to be Rachel's shadow? Is what she was saying to her, and following Aaron, and just being nasty. And maybe they'll show that, I don't know, next or Sunday, but it was epic. Like, it was nasty, like when she got mean, she being Jessie. But up until then, when she was discovering that Helen, who I don't remember that.
Oh my gosh, I love when the Big Brother does the flashbacks to them actually saying what they really said, and then it's like totally contradicts what actually came out of their mouth. It's just it's hilarious.
That's always a favorite thing to watch happen.
Yeah. Well, getting to Sunday's episode, we'll start off on episode 20. And I know Ryan loves this when they do the flashbacks, the black and white. And
they do.
Yeah, and it was definitely something that needed to be done because we had no idea. Well, I know if you're a live feeder, you knew.
Yeah.
But I was actually very shocked that Judd was evicted. Were you? Did you know that was going to come?
Yes, because they'd been talking about it, and as we see, pretty much whatever Amanda wants, Amanda gets. Doesn't matter if she's HOH. She's always in that bed, and she's always sort of in charge.
Yes.
And Andy follows, and then for a long time, Helen followed, and they kept thinking he was the MVP.
Oh my gosh, so I know Amanda wouldn't let it go.
No, he got screwed by the MVP twist. I want Judd to come back. I mean, it just didn't work in his favor.
I know. I kind of don't like when everyone says, like, this person deserves to be this here more than this. I mean, we all deserve it on the same level. Yeah. But I do feel like Judd needs a second chance, just like you needed a second chance. But this is a first, because I didn't think, when Julie said about how the jury was going to still be in the game, I thought it just meant, like, they were going to be voting.
I thought there'd be some other twist, like maybe they could nominate for the first time or cast a vote, something other than just their vote, who's going to win 500,000. But now somebody's coming back, and I'm like, please, like, I'm torn. Here's my thoughts. I feel like Judd got screwed by the MVP twist, and Candace got screwed by the racism, because between Gina Marie and Aaron and Amanda, and then Caitlyn kind of just sort of laughing, she'd go, ha 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 ha, that's rude, and then keep laughing. It tainted the house, and they were so quick to turn on Howard and Candace in a way that I don't think was just all about game. And I never want to, like, for me, when you say somebody's racist or homophobic or bigoted, that's a serious thing.
Of course.
But looking at their behavior, it's hard to say otherwise. And it's still been nonstop with Gina Marie, how she constantly talks about Candace every single day in such a disparaging way.
That is so sad. And it wasn't just once she had to say it, but twice about, oh, at least my mother likes me. I mean, like, please stop. Like, it gives me the chills even thinking about, like, the things that she can say to her.
Yeah, they're extra vile and kind of disgusting, I think.
And it's sad because everyone, I'm sure you get this question all the time. Like, who do you want to win, or who are you rooting for? And I was actually rooting for Candace, Judd or Candace, and like they're both gone. I'm just like, oh my gosh.
It's been a rough few weeks because I was like, oh, I hope they save Howard. He got booted.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope they save Candace. She got booted. Oh, I hope they save Judd. Now he's gone. And I'm like, okay, so, I mean, spoiler alert in case you don't watch the feeds. It looks like Alyssa and Helen are going to go up, and maybe Alyssa will get the boot. It's kind of on the fence. I mean, some want Alyssa, some want Helen. But I feel like it's been person after person after person. I'm like, who's left to root for? It's not who do you root for? It's who do you root to boot? That's been like my little thing. Root to boot, root to boot. I'm like, well, who gets out first? Because you just don't like these people,
I know. So. They need to just get rid of them all.
Yeah. Donate the money to charity or something. I don't know.
But I know, and now, like, Time Warner, people can't even watch. If you have Time Warner, you can't watch Big Brother. So it's like,
oh, the CBS Battle or something? I've heard about that.
I was thinking that would be changed because Big Brother is actually #1 right now.
Is it?
Or not, I think, like, for its time slot.
Yeah, I've heard something like that. And I've heard they're up in the ratings and
stuff. But that's so sad because it's only because of all of the racism and all the controversy.
I know.
It's like, oh, well.
It's sad, especially when Erin's sitting up in her HOH room last night saying, I bet Janelle is shaking in her boots because I've won 5 and she's won 6 HOH. I'm like, how dare you?
Oh my God, when Helen compares her, I know, exactly. Like, you can't compare yourself to Janelle ever.
No. Good luck with that. Even if she wins 7 HOHs, Janelle was like a special kind of character from day one. And we know Erin is like a special kind of pain in the butt.
Yes.
No comparison.
Not at all. And, I mean, I keep bringing it up, but not that I keep bringing it up, but I know you watch the feeds, but they're talking all about the Adderall. And, like, giving that an advantage. But then she does say that she has, like, a brain imbalance. Like, that's why she needs it.
Who, Amanda?
No.
Erin.
Erin, because she's just, like, winning all these comps.
She's got a brain imbalance, that's for sure. Yeah, well, she's really good under pressure. Have you noticed? Yes. I mean, she talks about it. Sadly, she can keep calm and just focus, where someone like Alyssa is just a nervous wreck and just, loses it and can't think straight. And then Amanda, like we saw in the comp last night.
Oh my gosh, Erin's trying to throw it to her, and it's like it couldn't happen. She's that bad.
Amanda stood there and was like, I'm like, just pick one. You have a 1 in 3 shot of being right. At least do that. And she's just like, and nothing.
I know. So. When Erin won, I was just like,
I know. Wah, wah.
This is so predictable. Like, I just give it to someone. I did not want her to win.
Nobody did. I mean, maybe her family, but a couple of Erin lovers. There's gotta be
but her mom won't even write an HOH letter.
I noticed that. Has her dad written one either?
No.
People are like, well, her parents didn't sign a release, but if I had a daughter, and I have stepkids, but if I had a daughter, even if they were on like America's Next Jackass show and I hated the show, I would still support my kid. Because they need your love being in that house. They miss everybody. They're away from everything, the stress. It's just strange that they don't at least say, well, we don't like the show, but let's support our daughter.
Sure. Have you read the blogs about Candace's mom coming out?
No. Has she said something?
Yeah, I guess she was. I didn't actually read it, but I heard that she came out and was like defending Candace and talking about the racism and stuff.
Oh, really?
I'd be interested to read that.
I would too. I think it was tricky with Candace. The thing is, I try to put myself in her position, and people have tweeted me and said, what would you do if you were in this house and had to deal with the racism and all of that?
Yeah.
I'm not like Candace as far as being like outspoken. I mean, I can be outspoken.
I don't know. I beg to differ.
Yes, I take that back. Like, I would not have had that fight at the end as much, when Candace was leaving, as much as that was exciting to watch and like, woohoo, and they're fighting, I felt like she somewhat, because GM's pretty low, lowered herself to that level, because people are just going to remember 2 people fighting. Instead, I felt like she could have said something like, you know what? I didn't appreciate what's happened to me here. The things that you said, I hope that you reflect, whatever, something sort of more meaningful and thoughtful, so people would go, okay, GM's trash, and Candace didn't lower herself to that.
Right. I do agree, but I think it's like pride. She doesn't want people to think she's going down without a fight.
I think so, yeah.
And, it's
entertaining. And she leave in a clown suit. I'm like, really?
I know. It's like what's the curse of the...
The curse of the any kind of tard. I mean,
yes,
I didn't even say that, but
I thought she looked really cute in the
hers was cute. I mean, I think GM and Erin kind of were disappointed that she wasn't more disappointed, but still, I'm like, nobody should have to leave the house.
No,
in any kind of hippie tard, clowny tard, unitard tard at all.
No,
I hate saying that word. It's offensive.
No. Excuse me. In the spirit of love, I was very disappointed that she wasn't going to be reunited with Howard.
I know.
I'm like,
well, of course, Howard, as soon as he got out of the house, he's like, nope, we're just friends. I'm like, I was kind of hoping that there'd be like a little, with the whole controversy about what he said to Amanda in the kitchen.
Do you really believe that? Like, did he say that?
I saw it with my own eyes. I saw the body language, but it's like on the feeds like that. It goes by so quickly, you can't hear it. And she says he said one thing, and he says he said another, and every time they would talk about it, the feeds would cut, so you couldn't really know for sure. So, but he himself basically said, I thought she was attractive, and, maybe outside of the house, we could hang out or something. I don't want to misquote Howard, but I'm like, really? I mean, after all Amanda had done to him and made Candace cry and made people feel terrible, I'm like, you're talking about how you can hang out afterward? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to put any words into Howard's mouth, because I was a huge Howard fan and still am.
Oh, of course.
And I wanted him to stay, but it was a little strange.
Have you been following him on Twitter?
I've seen a few things, but not much. Has he said anything interesting or
commented?
No,
I haven't looked that much.
No. He's just been like, hi. I don't know that I've seen. Maybe he said more. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, let's get back to recapping.
Yes.
They did the flashback. We see that they, okay, so Helen, she actually doesn't want to, it seemed like Erin didn't want to win the HOH. Like
I noticed that look on her face.
Yeah,
She kind of turned to Amanda and she was like,
and she actually wants to put up Gina Marie because she feels like there's a target on her back because Gina Marie is going all crazy.
Yeah.
But then she says she can't do that because they're so close. Yeah. And so then the whole house says that they want Judd out, which I can't believe that.
And you know what? I think too with Judd, what I saw on the feeds was that he was sporadic. And he would really push points because he would get very nervous, and then he'd be like, "Well, you know, I don't want anything to do with Jessie, so unless you want me to." Like it would be like that, and they're kind of like, "Well, what are you doing with her?" One minute he's like, "Well, I like her as a person, but not in game wise," and then the next day he's like, "Well, I hate her," and then like he had a fight with her, which they didn't show on the show. He called her like the worst person to ever live and all these things, and said, "Don't ever speak to me again. You're disgusting." And she's like, "What? Like, what are you doing? What kind of person are you?" And then he was like, "I'm sorry, Jessie. I didn't mean all that." And so when they would see that behavior, they're like, "This guy's the MVP." He would be back and forth, and it was like, "Methink he doth protest too much," because he kept going, "I'm not with Jessie. I'm not with Jessie." And then no one believed it.
I love you for knowing all this inside information. It's great. So, okay, viewers, that's why everyone thought he was like shady. Yeah. And then, you know what? It's Amanda at the end of the day.
Amanda.
And then, I mean, it's not that I'm blaming America, but it's like the whole MVP thing. It's not America's fault at all. No. But it's just, that's how like the circumstances are. And you know, Big Brother's just not fair.
No, there's no fair. Exhibit A, there is no fair in Big Brother.
Yes, you took it so well.
Oh, you didn't see all the tears I shed later. That was just pure shock on my face. That's all that I took, you know.
Yeah.
It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun.
No, but that's not fun for anybody.
Sarah.
I know, but who knows? All Stars.
I'm glad I didn't go back this season. People are like, "Oh, did you want to go back?" Hell yes, I wanted to go back this season. And then I see these people, and I'm like, maybe not.
I felt the same way. My mom and I talk about that all the time. I'm like, I don't think I could have handled it in that house. Like, I hate confrontation. And like, everyone like on Twitter's, sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, I feel like you'd be friends with Jessie," but like, I don't know. I don't know who I'd be friends with, because I feel like a lot of times in Big Brother, if you're not in an alliance, that's why you're an outsider. It's not so much to do with personality and everything, because if that was the case, Amanda would be out. But she just has this like rock solid.
You mean Demanda, as they call her in the chat? Yeah. Demanda. And I like calling him what is
Macranda.
It? Well, they call him Macranda. I call him McManda. I don't know. It's all the same thing, but they're like one unit driving the house.
They are. And like, so do you think that Amanda's more in control of the house than Helen?
Absolutely I do, because Helen did, even though she says she forgot or didn't do it or not sure, she wanted certain people out. Like they tried to get Amanda out when America served up Amanda on a silver platter 2 weeks in a row. And then Andy would go, "Oh, no, it's not time. It's not time." And then Amanda, of course, would say, "Well, this is what I want." And Helen would go, "Okay, yes. That's right. We have to do what you say, you know." Like,
what do you and then Amanda it was Helen that went into Erin's ear when it was time for nominations during the double eviction. Yeah. And the saddest part ever is they think, or Judd thinks, that they're all talking about evicting Jessie.
That was hard to watch.
That was very hard to watch. And then it wasn't until that second that she just said her nominations, and he just looked like he saw a ghost or something.
Yeah, I think that Helen drove the Judd, you know, eviction, but Amanda wanted it and sort of facilitated the buzz, if you will, getting into people's ears and like kind of getting the groundswell. Because that's the thing I love about the feeds is you watch it's like almost like when you watch a boiling pot of water, you start to see little bubbles, the little tiny ones, and then it simmers more, and then pop, 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 pop. And that's what it was when Helen's like, "I want Judd out," because it was so quick. You know, it was like, we're done.
Well, yeah, because if it was Amanda's choice, she probably would have got out Jessie, because she has that weird personal vendetta against her. Out of like, that's catty girl business that I just don't understand.
No.
So Judd's evicted. Very sad. And I have to mention the other thing when he was fighting for his life. That was also a very, very sad moment.
Sad.
But no one, unfortunately, at that point, people had already made up their minds.
Yes.
That's what was going to happen. No one right then and there is going to switch their vote.
No. Wouldn't that be fun if that would happen sometimes? I'm so tired of this. Well, we're going with the house. The house is named Amanda. This unanimous vote. Do you remember like earlier seasons with Big Brother?
Yeah.
No, people had an idea, but it'd be like 4-3 or 6-2 or close to a tie. Now it's just like unanimous.
Right. And
like
do you think that's why another first time thing in Big Brother that Julie brought up this last live show, how she brought up about making a big move, which I thought that was crazy because they're not allowed to have interaction with the outside
that
world.
Was weird too. I was like, why is she saying that? Because it sort of gives them the focus that we or America or maybe just the producers think, yes, we don't feel like you're making big moves.
Right.
And then Helen answered and she was just like, oh no, I think getting Judd out was a very big move and stay tuned. I was like, okay, I guess that is a big move, but we don't think so. So take a hint, you know?
No, I know. I was shocked about that.
Julie Chen's fed up like us.
She is.
Gotta love the Chen bot, you know?
She's
I love how she
enough.
talks to Aaron. Like, remember the big burn with Aaron? I guess that's weeks ago, which is ancient history.
I know. Well, that's another thing in Big Brother, how these people, they'll be such a big target. And then, like, okay, for example, Miranda, or the 4 a.m., which is a new alliance we learned about this week.
Wait, the 4 a.m.? I know about the 3 a.m.
Oh, I'm sorry, 3 a.m.
Oh, don't have anybody else in it, yes. 3 A's and an M, which I just figured out what that whole thing meant. You know, Amanda, Andy, Aaron, and then McCrae. 3 A's.
Yes, which is actually very clever and cute. I like the name.
Better than Moving Company.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I kind of like that name.
Did you? Well, they moved right out. Right quickly, didn't they? They moved themselves out.
How
basically.
ironic.
Yes, but you were saying.
Oh, that Miranda. Oh, they wanted Helen out.
Yeah.
But now, since Alyssa, I'm sure you saw last night how she was like kind of freaking out.
Oh, that whole thing where she just cried and she's like, I can't help Alyssa anymore. Alyssa wants to go home. Alyssa wants to self-evict. I've been trying to. I said this in chat. She not only like threw Alyssa under the bus, Helen got into the bus, fastened her seatbelt, drove over Alyssa, and then backed over her and rolled over her again.
Wow.
I'm like, what the heck, Helen? And she's like, I can't breathe. My nose is so stuffed up. And I'm like, wow.
I know. Where's the loyalty at?
I'm sure everybody says they want to go home in that house sometime.
Well, yeah. In Alyssa's defense, I mean, if you're a slightest a bit emotional, like myself, I mean, you're in a hamster cage, like being poked.
Yes.
Like it's emotional. Yeah. Everything is very heightened. And just the other day I saw Helen like cutting vegetables, talking to Jesse and like not crying, but like she was like getting worked up that she missed her family.
Yeah.
So it's like some people are just a little more dramatic about it.
Yes. Helen took that little morsel, that little nugget, and she ran with it. And they all took it. They're like, it was the cardinal truth. Oh, and then they start talking about, well, Alyssa's rich. She doesn't deserve it. And her husband has this car, and they have that, and she should get out. And I'm just like, maybe you should consider this source, because if somebody, that's the thing I think, in the Big Brother house, if somebody's really pushing that someone said anything, you have to question how much of that is really important and why do they think it's important. And that's just Helen selling out Alyssa.
Yeah, because she's worried. As she should be.
Yes.
So Jed's gone, and they have to play the next HOH.
Yeah.
And it's the banana balancing one, which, I don't know. Do you think you'd be good at that?
That thing with the ball?
Yes.
I mean, I could try. I'm pretty good at, like, keeping steady and not being nervous when I have to or whatever. I could try.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I kind of like that one. I didn't play that one.
Yeah.
But, so it's tournament style. Mm-hmm. And pretty much Andy wins.
Yeah.
The funniest part was when McCrae didn't throw it to Amanda.
I like that.
And she freaks out, whining about that for half the episode.
Yes.
And
I like that he didn't, because me personally,
too.
I'm really competitive. I'd rather win on my own and not have it handed to me, unless there was a weird thing where it needed to be me that won or some whatever. Because Amanda said, well, Jeff did it for Jordan.
Oh,
and
I know.
Brendan did it for Rachel. And I want to say, you guys are not them.
You're not.
Those two couples are still together. One of them are married or is married. That's not you guys.
I know, and I personally, like, I will say this, and I hope that I predict right. I don't see anything happening with them as a couple.
No.
I think you're just latching on to this whole, like, this weird showmance.
I think Amanda really thinks there's a future, because she talks about him coming to live with her in Florida. And have you ever seen her groom him on the live feeds?
No.
I'm not exaggerating. She picks his nose, picks stuff out of his teeth, like scratches him, tweezes hairs. It's gross.
Ew.
In between their making out and other canoodling things.
Oh my gosh, she's
that's
always
what
on
they do.
top of him, like always just
She's
around him.
Stuck to him. And so, they got married, which I guess they'll show on the show.
I'm not sure. Did you I have been so behind this week on my live feed watching.
Yeah.
Did you watch the wedding?
I watched the wedding. Somehow I didn't get my invitation, but I did watch the wedding. It was funny because Amanda was like, and I hope that she did her little vows. I hope that, in the future, that with our love, that we, I don't know, something sort of meaningful. And then McCrae is like, yeah. And I like to shout out to my friends at home watching. And he did all these shout outs during his vows. And yes, I care about you, Amanda. But to all my boys. And she's like, what the heck? So
wow.
It was funny.
Maybe, I wonder if he did that because he didn't want it to air.
I don't know, but
I don't know.
didn't
Do you
take it
think
very
that he's more into her?
No, I think she's way.
Or
more
I mean, that's
into
what I meant to
him.
say.
Yes, because
Dyslexia.
she's always like, "Why aren't you cuddling with me? Come." He's like, "I don't feel like it."
I know she is extremely needy for Miss Independent Woman. Like I wouldn't think that.
So I think he's into her, but I think that not very much. Like once he gets out of the house, he's gonna say bye bye.
Unless she wins, but I don't see that happening either.
Yeah, well, money is obviously not that important to him because he's just, chilling with the pizza job. So,
right.
I mean, he's still young, but I don't know.
If one of them goes this week, I will be so curious. Or not this week, next week.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that'll happen. But I'm just so curious to see how it will play out at the very end. Like
as far as their relationship?
Well, no, if it is like say that 3 a.m. goes to the very end, like how that will all turn out.
I think that McCrae is better at winning competitions, not just because he has won too, I guess, but just who he is as a person. And as we see with Amanda, she can't win. So I feel like if it is at the very end, you'll have Aaron, who wins everything, which sucks, and who is relatively skilled and can keep calm and cool and collected. Yes. And then Amanda, who wins nothing, and so it seems like Amanda would go first. I mean, that would be my prediction, and you would still have McCrae, maybe Andy, and Aaron kind of duking it out for the final 3.
Okay,
that would be my thoughts.
Good predictions.
I guess. Sadly, I hope none of that comes true. I hope that Judd comes back or Candace comes back.
I know. Oh my God, could you imagine? I think something really big's gonna happen. I know because Candace is in jury too. I mean,
I just get scared that like Alyssa's gonna go, and then which I don't want her to go because even though she doesn't really have much of a game, I like her. She's quirky and odd, but I really like her, and I think that she'll go if they vote her out. And then it's between Jesse and Judd because they seem more competitive to me, like competitions and stuff, than Candace.
Right.
Even though I really want Candace to come back, to just stick it to Aaron and
I know. Gina Marie would freak out.
I wish we got to vote as America instead of them competing, because America would definitely vote. Well, it'd be a toss-up, I think, between Candace and Judd. Yeah. But I wish they both could come back.
So did Julie announce that they're actually competing?
She said join us next week or whatever, join us Sunday or next Thursday when the house guests, the returning or whatever, the jury members compete to return to the house.
Oh, okay. So they are going to do that.
Not a vote. I wanted a vote.
I know. Okay. We have to, I'm so behind on our recapping. So then Andy has to make his nominations. Helen wants him, of course, to make a big move, her guns blazing. Yeah. She loves that phrase. But Andy is actually very close with McCranda. So he puts up Spencer and Jesse, which was not a shocker whatsoever. No. And Jesse's the target. And then they play the famous counting POV. This was a fun competition. I liked the aesthetics.
Okay.
You didn't like it?
You know, I don't pay attention to that stuff.
Oh my God, I always look at that.
Like really amazing and different or some wacky world. I was just going, I end up just laughing at the whole thing where they all fold, you know, following Amanda's plan. That's kind of where my focus
Which was actually smart. You're a gamer.
I think so.
You are.
Oh, me?
And yes, before the competition even started, McCrae predicted that it was going to be this counting POV, and I think it was a really good idea. And Spencer was not all about it. McCrae wanted everyone to fold and Helen to stay.
Yes.
So Spencer's like, "Are you guys crazy?"
I liked that. Spencer's a perv. He says vile, disgusting things for sure. I almost feel like there's two Spencers. There's also the country boy who actually is really funny. Like when he was like, "What does he think? I'm some kind of rube?" I'm not sure what a rube is.
Oh my God!
But
I was going to Google that.
I meant to actually, because I'm like, what is that? Like I was thinking Rubik's Cube. There must be some meaning. I feel stupid, but I don't know. But obviously something dim.
Not the same thing.
Who would? You couldn't pay me to throw a POV, veto if I'm on the block. Like they're like Amanda's like, well, why wouldn't you do what we were telling you to do? I'm thinking, who would? You don't know if people are, telling you the truth. She's like, well, you should have trusted us. In Big Brother, you're going to trust people who got you on the block in the first place? So I don't blame him for not following along with the plan. And it was fun to watch Amanda, who says way too much. She should never have said, well, there goes that. Like, people need to pay attention to the little comments that people make and
I know.
who celebrates when whom wins.
Oh my gosh,
who
I know.
Who.
Why don't people do that? Because they're trying to keep these alliances quiet. And I noticed that in our season when, like, people would cheer for other people, especially in that swamp competition, it's like the Quack Pack thought they were so, like, undercover. But in the back of my head, I always knew they were working together. But they thought it was so secret because they're cheering for each other.
I want Andy to be found out in that same way.
Yeah,
because he's always hugging
back
and
forth.
celebrating. And, Jesse had no idea that Andy's part of any of this. Oh, we just love Andy. He's my friend. And I'm like,
I know. I love how they edited the DRs when everyone was like, and I'm good friends with Andy.
Yeah. You know that in the chat, someday he's got to come on my show. I have to have him. And it's so sweet. He talks about me.
I know.
And he gave me a tweet.
Blog.
That's nice. I mean, some of it gets a little old because it's like, oh, my favorite player was Jodi. Like, all right. The jokes can get a little, but it's sweet when I think a lot of it's funny because they're like, the fastest player in the game was me, in and out. But with Andy, the thing about him is he was always from day one, from room to room to room. He would be bouncing all over the place, going here, going there. So in the live feed chat rooms, we're constantly saying there are 3 Andys. He's always somewhere, and we're afraid that Andy's going to nominate himself and boot himself out because there's so many Andys. So that's been kind of a running joke because he's everywhere.
I'm glad that you're not the only one that notices that because it's like I see right through him.
He's got skills as far as I don't think anybody else notices that he'll be in a room and he'll kind of get enough information. He'll be like, oh, gotta go to the bathroom. He doesn't go to the bathroom. And he goes in the backyard and he's like, oh, gotta go to the bathroom. I'm like, and then he goes to upstairs in the HOH. Oh, gotta go to the bathroom. I'm like,
do you think so? Wow. He kind of reminds you of like an Ian?
I feel like with Ian, maybe it was less deliberate. Andy seems to be purposely making sure he doesn't stay anywhere too long. He's done less and less of that now because there's less rooms with less people in them and less stuff he has to worry about. But he was all over the place, which was funny considering he was not really on the show for the first few weeks. He was barely edited in, I'm like, he's everywhere.
Wow. See, that's what I mean. Like, if you don't watch the feeds, you don't get the whole show.
Oh, that's true. You can't.
It's a 24-hour show.
Sadly.
You know what? I have to backtrack because I know, like, it was a short-lived time for you in the house, but you were one of the most, I feel like, talked about, and like you're very you have a lot of fans.
It's strange.
How former house guests really respect you.
Really? Well, that's nice.
Yeah, because I feel like you got it was a bad apple.
It was honestly, I feel like it's not really about me as much as I'd like to take that. It's just about what happened. Anybody that would have happened to, as long as you didn't like run out of there screaming and going like F Big Brother and I got screwed and like seem like a big sourpuss, then I think people or the fans or whoever would say yay, whoever that would happen to, because I did get screwed. Like I kind of was thinking the other day, I'm like, couldn't they have like given me $5,000 too? Like, hey, you're booted first, but here's a check.
Or even got to stay like just
a night,
a week.
I know. Let me come back. I would have been happy with a night.
I know.
But I think for me, the thing I always think is that I was so excited to be in that house.
Yeah.
I ran everywhere I could. It was almost like I knew I was going home, which I didn't, of course, but I touched everything. I went everywhere, so I got the most out of it. And it sucked to be booted, but I was glad that I at least got to step foot in that house.
Yes.
So that's an honor.
People have compassion for you.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Okay, we have to wrap it up.
All right.
We are on to the very end of the POV. It's down to Alyssa, Spencer, and Andy. Alyssa made the same mistake that I did and folded during the last round. You don't do that. But it was all good because Andy ended up winning.
Yes.
And he was excited because now he's like, he gets to call himself a game player because he's winning.
Yes.
Very excited about that. And he's going to keep his nominations the same. However, Helen still, thinks that maybe he'll use it to backdoor either McCrae or Amanda. But
that's not looking
we know
like
that does not happen because noms stay the same and Jesse is evicted.
Yeah.
We see on Thursday's show that Jesse went out with a bang. She was not going to leave that house peaceful.
Loved it.
Very exciting. And she actually, we talked about this, that they only showed a fourth of it, and she just went crazy, called everybody out. And then we go on to the next HOH, and it's the singing one, and which I actually like this one.
That's so funny. We have opposite opinions.
Wow.
I was like, what? You can barely hear the songs, the lyrics. They got like some,
They're so
some
cheesy.
junior high choir. They're like, and then with the icy dancing. I'm like, what? I'm like, what are they even saying? So.
You do have to have a good ear.
Yeah.
I wasn't good at that competition either. But, okay, so Aaron wins. Surprise, surprise. And we actually have to wrap it up.
Time to go.
Yeah, already. It was so fast. I can't thank you enough for coming today.
Thank you. Follow me on Twitter at Jodi's Box.
Yes, please. And Jodi also has a show on Mondays.
Mondays
it's
at
awesome
Pacific. Jodi's Box of Reality, all about reality TV. In this case, Big Brother.
Cool. What's your Twitter name again?
At Jodi's Box. JODISBOX.
Okay, cool.
Kind of a pun.
And follow me on Twitter at Ashley Iocco, ASHLEYIOCCO. Thank you to all the Big Brother fans. Thank you, Jodi.
Thank you, Buzz TV.
Yeah.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.